Mrs. Britt, Mr. Budd, Ms. Cantwell, Mrs. Capito, Mr. Cassidy, Ms. Collins.
As we are hearing the Senate roll call here, we wanted to delve a little bit deeper into the issue of health care. This is what we've been hearing lawmakers from both sides of the aisle debate on ahead of tomorrow's vote on the Affordable Care Act tax credit extension. I wanted to share this statement from Senate Majority Leader John Thune ahead of that vote.
From Fox 5, this is The Noon.
Now at noon, City Comptroller Brad Lander launching a run for Congress, and he's already racking up some major endorsements. We'll have details on his campaign announcement coming up. But first, we finally get a break from those frigid temps, but it won't be a long one. What you need to know about the forecast straight ahead. And welcome to The Noon. I'm Teresa Priolo in for Bianca. A slight warm up today, but the trade-off is going to be some rain in the forecast tonight. Might be even some snow for the future. Let's check in with Liv Johnson. She joins at the Weather Center. It's nice to hear that it's warm enough for rain, at least.
Oh, I took off my scarf on the way here. I was like, wow, it's feeling like spring out there. Yeah, but it's not going to last long. Unfortunately, this is our best day of the week, though, so soak it in for a few more hours. We do have a winter weather advisory until 1 o'clock in the morning, just for Sullivan and Ulster County. Obviously, you can see some parts of Pennsylvania as well, but none for the tri-state area other than way up north. We do have some snow that's being pushed in, some lake effect snow. We already have seen some flurries for Sullivan and Ulster County, those same places under that winter weather advisory. I'm not expecting a huge event here, but we will get precipitation nonetheless. Now, here in New York City and most of New Jersey, it's mainly a rain event. Same with Connecticut, too. And that's going to start, as I said, in a few hours. So 3 to 4 o'clock is where we can expect maybe start seeing some sprinkles throughout the area. And then it's going to last until the evening time. By 8 or 9, it's already moved out east from mainly just Long Island and Connecticut. And that's also not going to be a huge rain event. We'll be in the clear again until Friday night when we have another chance of seeing some snow move through the area. But I'll talk about that later in the show. Teresa?
All right, Liv, thanks. Following developing news, police investigating a stabbing on a northbound L train at Union Square subway stop this morning. Officials are saying that around 10 a.m., 2 men had some sort of verbal dispute. So the police say a 45-year-old man suffered multiple stab wounds to the back. He was taken to Bellevue Hospital. He was conscious, alert, and expected to survive. There were no arrests. The FDNY investigating a house fire that erupted this morning in the Arlington section of Staten Island. Fire officials there say this fire started at 5:36 a.m. in the basement of a home at the corner of Grandview Ave and Arlington Place. One firefighter taken to an area hospital. Another person sustained minor injuries and apparently refused medical transport. The fire was put out by 7:21 a.m. Turning to politics now, and a big primary race shaping up in the city. Comptroller Brad Lander now has his sights firmly set on Congress, and he's going up against a big-name incumbent. Let's check in with Morgan Mackay. She joins us live from our newsroom with the latest. All right, who's the big name, Morgan?
Congressman Dan Goldman. He's attempting to run against Congressman Dan Goldman for New York's 10th congressional district, and Brad Lander already picking up some endorsements this morning from Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani, Senator Bernie Sanders, Senator Elizabeth Warren, Public Advocate Jumaane Williams, and the Working Families Party. So Lander now officially launching his bid for New York's 10th district, which encompasses parts of Brooklyn and Manhattan. Lander released an almost 3-minute campaign video that is meant to mimic Fred Rogers and Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. In the video, Lander touted his decades in public service and pointed to his record of opposing President Trump's policies. The video also showed Lander being arrested at federal immigration court after he demanded to be allowed onto the floor where ICE was holding migrants. Lander opted to take his case to trial and pleaded not guilty last week to trespassing charges. Now, Mamdani's endorsement comes as a bit of a surprise since Councilwoman Alexa Avelis, a fellow Democratic socialist, was also considering running for the seat, but Avelis announcing this morning that she has decided not to run and doesn't want to see a split field of candidates. Lander on Pix 11 this morning was asked why he is challenging Goldman, and he referenced how the congressman chose not to endorse Mamdani.
The primary was the time for Democrats to debate who was going to be the nominee. I ran and then cross-endorsed Zoran. But in the general election, I thought all Democratic leaders should support our nominee for mayor over somebody who's a sexual harasser. And yeah, that's the kind of energy we need right now. We can't solve all our problems in New York City alone. We need fighters in Washington who will work together with the mayor to deliver that city that everyone can afford and to stand up to what the president is doing.
Now, Congressman Goldman's campaign sent a statement saying, quote, Dan is focused on stopping the Trump administration from what they're doing to immigrant families in his district right now. He's proud of his progressive record in Congress and will deal with Brad and other challengers in the new year. Now, Lander has an event officially launching his campaign tonight, but we're also going to go one-on-one with him this afternoon, and we'll have that in our later shows. Teresa?
Looking forward to it. All right, Morgan, thank you. A big meeting underway between multiple city, regional, and federal agencies to get ready for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. And Fox 5's Haley Fixler live in downtown Brooklyn with those details. Hey, Haley.
Hey, Teresa. Yeah, officials, they're calling the summer the largest and most complex operational season ever. They are expecting millions of additional people to come to town. So inside of this building here, it is the largest interagency meeting filled with federal, local, and state representatives trying to figure out how to make it all happen.
We have over 60 agencies, over 200 people. Everybody from the United States Navy is here, the Coast Guard, members of the National Guard, New Jersey State Police, city agencies, the state, other partners from the federal government, FIFA, the host committee. All of them are here today, really making sure that we're working together, sharing information, and getting ready for this summer that is going to be one big summer here in New York City.
So we got an inside look at the meeting before officials started talking about the details of these security plans. So we know that this is just one of a series of these meetings to coordinate with all of the different partners to make sure that things go smoothly this summer. Now, there's a lot of coordination that has to go with this, a lot of information sharing, especially with international parties, just given the scope of these events. So this summer, again, just to highlight a few events, it's America 250, it's Sail 250, it's Fleet Week, and then, of course, the FIFA World Cup. Officials are calling it the equivalent of 9 Super Bowls in 40 days.
Look, I think the World Cup is a whole other degree. I mean, what I've heard is I think 140 million people watch the Super Bowl. They're expecting 3 billion people to watch the World Cup, right? So when you just think about the scale and the scope of this, the entire world is watching. This is New York City. There is no place like it.
All right, so we were expecting to hear from Mayor Eric Adams at the meeting today, but he did not attend last minute. And of course, we're still some far out from all of these events, so we do know that the security plans, they're going to get some more details into them as it gets closer to these events. Live in downtown Brooklyn, Teresa, back to you.
Man, that's a lot happening at once, Haley. That sounds like a headache. All right, thank you. And a reminder, too, that Fox 5 is your home for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. You can look for updates and features leading up to next summer's big event. Well, in other news, the man accused of shooting Jets player Chris Boyd was arraigned in Manhattan criminal court on Tuesday. 20-year-old Frederick Green of the Bronx has been charged with attempted murder, assault, and criminal possession of a weapon. Green arrested at the University of Buffalo North Campus in Amherst on Monday. Police say that he changed his appearance by cutting his hair. He deactivated his social media. Boyd was shot last month in Manhattan, and he is still recovering. A big health care vote expected in Washington next week. Next at noon, Democrats and Republicans laying out dueling visions, details on their plans. Plus, could your grocery delivery come with hidden costs? What a new investigation is alleging about Instacart prices. Developing news in the world of finance. There will likely be an interest rate cut today. The Federal Reserve expected to cut the key rate to 3.6%. This would be the third cut in a row. It would bring the rate to the lowest level in 3 years. That's positive news for home buyers who have been sitting on the sidelines waiting for rates to drop. The Senate is expected to vote tomorrow on two competing health care proposals. So Senate Democrats just held a press conference to discuss their plan. They want to extend the Enhanced Affordable Care Act tax credits by 3 years.
Is life and death for people. This is having a decent life or a life where you can hardly cope if you don't get the health care that you need.
Now, Republicans say the Democratic legislation, it doesn't include enough reforms to prevent fraud or limit high-income recipients. Their plan would approve new funds to boost health savings accounts, but it would not extend the tax credits. Grocery delivery service Instacart may be coming with a hidden cost. An investigation by the progressive think tank Groundwork Collaborative and Consumer Reports revealed the platform is using AI to raise the price of food as much as 23% for some users. The study showed that depending on where you are and potentially who you are, it may determine how much you pay. A statement from Instacart said in part, quote, retail partners control their prices on Instacart, and we work closely with them to align online and in-store pricing wherever possible. A first-of-its-kind ban on social media for kids under 16 now in effect in Australia. Next at noon, what lawmakers in Washington, D.C. think of passing a similar ban here in the U.S. Plus, amid intense scrutiny over strikes on suspected Venezuelan drug trafficking boats, what Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is saying about releasing the video.
Boosted.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth telling congressional leaders he is still weighing whether or not to release the full video of that attack on that alleged drug boat that killed 2 survivors in the Caribbean Sea. Hegseth provided a classified briefing for congressional leaders alongside Secretary of State Marco Rubio, as well as CIA Director John Ratcliffe at Capitol Hill on Tuesday. The news coming as Hegseth is facing intensifying demands from Congress to release that video. And the Trump administration now working on advancing the next stage of the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. Secretary of State Rubio meeting with his Israeli counterpart in Washington today as negotiators try to organize an international force to maintain some sort of security in Gaza. But Hamas is calling for more international pressure on Israel before it moves to the next phase. The militant group saying it wants an end to strikes on the Gaza Strip and a key border crossing with Egypt to reopen. Israeli officials say they remain committed to the agreement and instead accuse Hamas of not disarming and trying to regain control of the Strip. As of today, Australia is the first country to ban social media for teens under 16, and now lawmakers in D.C. considering whether or not they should do the same. Fox's Rebecca Castor has the details.
Wednesday, Aussie teens are coming to grips with the fact they can no longer scroll for hours on TikTok or Instagram, with the country's teen social media ban officially in effect.
As young Australians, we will be completely silenced and cut off from our country and the rest of the world with this ban.
Australia's Prime Minister says the ban's a necessary step to keep kids safe from online bullies and mental health risks.
It is about our families taking back control. Technology can have an amazing impact on making our life easier. But it is important as technology develops that humans keep control.
It's caught the attention of Washington, and former Chicago mayor and White House chief of staff Rahm Emanuel wants lawmakers to take action.
Look, when it comes to our adolescents, it's either going to be adults or the algorithms. One of them is going to raise the kids.
Bills with similar bans haven't gained much momentum in Congress because of concerns they would infringe on free speech. But lawmakers on both sides say it's worth revisiting.
You know, there's a lot of equities you'd have to work out around liberties and freedoms. Sadly, the Congress has utterly failed to put in place any regulation that would help protect the harm. So maybe these more aggressive measures make some sense.
D.C. needs to do something. They need to take a step back from the grip that big tech has on them and think about their children and the next generation.
Several U.S. states already require parental consent for teens on social media, while Florida's law banning teens under 13 was just approved in federal court last week. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
Daily chatbot conversations might be the new norm for many teens. A Pew Research report says that 64% of teenagers talk to a chat box at least once a day. 48% say they use these tools several times a week. However, chatbot use still trails behind social media platforms, with 21% saying they use TikTok almost constantly. Year-end holiday travel expected to set a record. AAA projecting more than 122 million Americans will travel at least 50 miles from home over the 13-day year-end holiday period. That's about 3 million more than last year. AAA projecting 89% are going to travel by car, but a record of more than 8 million will take a domestic flight. About 5 million will travel by bus, train, or go on a cruise. Cruise would be nice this time of year, not gonna lie. Turning now to the weather to see what's in store for us this afternoon. Let's bring in Liv Johnson. Not exactly cruising weather around here, although it's better than it was.
I know. Unfortunately, today is the best day that we have all week, so we have to soak it in for the rest of the afternoon. It's 42. We haven't seen the 40s in a while. It's 50 out on Long Island, so even warmer out east. We have 47 down the shore in New Jersey. Low to mid 40s throughout New Jersey. We are below freezing up in Monticello. They have seen some flurries this morning. 35 in Poughkeepsie right now, and we have 40s throughout Connecticut. The feel-like temperature does hurt us a little bit. It is a breezy afternoon, but still, this is better than it has been the past few days. At least it doesn't feel below freezing. At least in New York, it feels like 34. Out on Long Island, it feels like 41. We do feel below freezing up in Poughkeepsie, but just barely. It feels like 30. Feels like 39 down the shore in New Jersey. So here are these winds that we're talking about. At least it is a southerly breeze, so it brings warmer air just a little bit. Consistent wind speeds aren't too crazy, 5 to 15 miles per hour, but we are gusting in most parts of the tri-state area. 32 mile per hour wind gusts out on Long Island, 21 down the shore. We have it in the teens up in Hartford and Monticello, but that is going to pick up as we get a system that moves through later this afternoon. We do have some rain for the second half of our day, some snow in Sullivan and Ulster counties. So again, the wind gusts are going to pick up as we get into the evening hours, especially out on Long Island and down the shore. Those coastal areas going to see wind gusts 30 to to 35 miles per hour. But when we look at rainfall totals for what we're expecting this afternoon, nothing too crazy. It's definitely not a washout. It's going to be kind of inconsistent as we go through these evening hours, and it wraps up pretty quickly. So you can see less than a quarter inch for most of the tri-state area. When we look at future snowfall, I do think this is overshooting a little bit. Even up in Monticello, they are expected to get some snow, but I think an inch to an inch and a half. And then this is just suggesting maybe a tracing from now until Friday afternoon. Lows tonight, 31 in New York City. We are in the 20s anywhere further north, though. So 29 for White Plains, 29 for Bridgeport. We just have 25 for Poughkeepsie. Monticello gets into the teens with just 19. But again, New York and anywhere further south is mainly going to be in the 30s. And then tomorrow, we take a hit in terms of our high. Just a high of 33 in New York City, 38 out in Long Island. We have 32 up in the Hudson Valley. Monticello just gets up to 24 tomorrow, and we'll get mid-30s throughout New Jersey. So just where we were, right? So 33 and windy tomorrow. Friday night, we have another snow chance. Saturday, we're in the clear, a high of 38. So not too bad. It is one of our more mild days for the weekend. Sunday, a chance of morning snow at a high of 34. And then we start next week, bitter cold, a high of 32 degrees. Teresa.
All right, Liv, thank you. Appreciate it. Another sign of the holiday season here in the city. A giant 36-foot-tall menorah was placed along 5th Ave and 59th Street this morning. It's right across from the plaza. It's the world's largest menorah, according to Guinness World Records. It's going to be lit every night of Hanukkah starting on December 14th, and each event will include music, dancing, and traditional Hanukkah treats. Next at noon, New Yorkers don't exactly have a reputation for friendliness. But a new report from GoFundMe might dispel some stereotypes. We're going to explain coming up. If you're having trouble sleeping, a new study says climate change may be to blame. Researchers found that higher temps can reduce the amount of shut-eye that a person gets. The study, which was published in the journal Environment International, showed that an 18-degree difference in temperature was associated with about 2 minutes loss of sleep. Researchers estimate that by 2099, people could be losing up to 24 hours of sleep each year as the world gets hotter. Well, boys who play sports may be less likely to be aggressive with authority figures. The symptoms of oppositional defiant disorder include persistent patterns of irritability, defiance, and hostility toward authority figures like parents and teachers. But a new study shows boys who stuck with organized sports showed fewer signs of defiance compared to those who participated less often. However, no benefit was seen with girls. Researchers say the findings support the idea that structured extracurricular activities can, in fact, promote behavioral resilience. The study is published in the journal European Child and Adolescent Psychiatry. Uber launching something new for its travelers, Uber kiosks. They're going to let you book a ride without ever using your phone. Uber says these kiosks are targeted toward international travelers who might not have a local data plan, or for those who are running out of battery life on their phone. Riders can book trips directly on the kiosk and then receive a paper receipt of their travel plans. Man, this is so old school. The first Uber kiosks are rolling out at LaGuardia Airport's Terminal C, with more expected at other airports, hotels, and ports in the next couple of months. Some people believe the new stereotype, not the new stereotype, the old stereotype, that New Yorkers are cold and rude. But according to GoFundMe, that's just not the case. The crowdfunding site's 2025 Year in Help report reveals that New York is 5th most generous in the country. In fact, 4 different New York communities were included in the top 25 most generous: Brooklyn, Ulster County near the Hudson River, Staten Island, and Oneida County in upstate New York. California was the most generous state, followed by Vermont, Alaska, and Oregon. Next at noon, a messy situation in Stamford, Connecticut. How illegal dumping has become all too common across that city. Plus, the Knicks have punched their ticket to Las Vegas. Later in the show, we're going to go kicking and screaming about the hottest team in town.
Many jobs are available with the City of New York today. Get connected to career opportunities as a teacher, school nurse, correction officer, taxi inspector, and more. Whether you're starting out or looking for a change, there's a place for you with the City of New York. Start right now at deliveringforyou.nyc or call 212-386-5000. Hiring professionals are waiting to help.
Work with NYC is where you're meant to be.
Deliveringforyou.nyc.
Fox 5.
12:30 now. Welcome back to the Noon. We have a lot more coming up right here. We're investigating illegal dumping in Stamford, Connecticut, and what is being done to clean up the mess. Plus, the Knicks are on fire right now. We're diving into the NBA Cup action as sports producer Lou Albanese joins me for kicking and screaming. But first, let's get another look outside. A lot warmer today, finally, than it has been in days past. But as I understand it, we're going to take a dip again. Let's bring in Liv Johnson. She's joining us live from the Weather Center. All right, when's it coming?
The dip in temperatures? By this evening. Yeah, and by tomorrow we'll have a high of just about 33 degrees. So, yeah, we'll enjoy it while it lasts. The commute today wasn't too bad. It's our warmer day of the week. Mixed showers move in later this afternoon, so it's going to be rain for most of the tri-state area. Some snow accumulation to some areas northwest of the city. And then we do have weekend snow chances, particularly Friday night and also Sunday morning. So when we look at our 24-hour change, this is exactly what we were talking about. Look at Long Island, 21 degrees warmer right now than it was 24 hours ago. We're looking at a difference of 17 for Hartford, 20 for Bridgeport. So yes, it feels a lot nicer outside today than it did yesterday. Most of us will get into the mid to upper 40s, which is a little closer to average for this time of year, but we've been well below it for quite some time. We even get we get to the upper 30s for Poughkeepsie, just 33 for Monticello, so cooler up there, of course, but still an improvement from yesterday. Around the rest of the Northeast and into New England, we see warmer temperatures too for Boston. It's 44, same with the down in Philadelphia. And then we have low 30s throughout New York State. But still, this isn't too much of a significant difference than we usually have. And this is a little warmer than they've had here in Buffalo, 35, Cleveland, 37, and Indianapolis, 40 degrees right now as well. Around the rest of the country, more mild temperatures in the southeast, of course, 51 for Atlanta. We have 60s and 70s throughout Texas. That must be nice. We do have 22 for Minneapolis. They've gotten a significant amount of snowfall, and 40 for Kansas City. So this area of low pressure, this is what we see throughout the winter. So nothing new to us. It's closer to Canada going through the Great Lakes, and that's what's bringing us some rainfall and some snowfall too for areas up north. Once that's out of the way, we're in the clear for a couple of days, but then we have this system to the south of us on Friday. That's what's going to give us a bit of a snow chance Friday night, and then we have another system that moves close to us Saturday into Sunday, and that's why we have a snow chance Sunday morning as well. So let's look at our futurecast one more time. We've already touched on the warm temperatures, so we can expect those to be in the 40s. By 3 or 4 o'clock, that's when we see this system start to move through. Snow way up north, rain for most of us, even up in the Hudson Valley. I think Poughkeepsie is just going to get rainfall. It's really just Sullivan and Ulster County that we can expect to see some snow accumulation. The snow lasts through the late afternoon hours. By 8 or 9 o'clock, we're in the clear throughout New Jersey, up into the Hudson Valley for the most part, but we still have rain lingering out on Long Island and up in Connecticut. So yes, you'll have probably a little bit of a messy commute home, although it's not going to be too strong or too widespread. When we look at rainfall totals, it's nothing too crazy. Then tomorrow morning, we wake up for another bitter cold day where we just have temperatures in the 20s when you wake up, highs in the low 30s. The only thing you have to worry about today, other than the rain, is also the wind gusts, and that is going to remain the same tomorrow. So mix that high of 33 for tomorrow, plus these strong winds, and it's going to be a very, very cold day, much different from this afternoon. 31's our low tonight, but we have 20s to the north, teens for Monticello, 34 down the shore, and as I said, tomorrow just high of 33. We get to the upper 30s down the shore in New Jersey and out on Long Island, but still not going to be a pleasant day. Plus, we have the strong winds again. Friday, snow chance for the evening. Saturday, we're in the clear. Then Sunday, a snow chance for the morning. Teresa.
All right. Thanks, Liv. We appreciate it. All right. It's not traffic, but trash that's turning heads on I-95 in Stamford, Connecticut. Fox 5's Richard Giacobis went there to check out the growing garbage problem.
A Metro North ride into the city along the New Haven line is quite scenic for commuters, but recently those riders noticed a pileup of what appeared to be a dumping ground just north of the Stamford train station. From mattresses to couches to tarps and clothing, it's a whole lot of garbage. It was just before Thanksgiving when this eyesore was brought to our attention, our cameras finding the spot along a state road below Interstate 95. While filming, we spotted a man who appeared to be making his bed, as if he lived here. We reached out to Connecticut Governor Ned Lamont's office and the State Department of Transportation. The DOT originally telling us that it was aware of the situation on this state-owned property and that what the photos show is likely not illegal dumping, but evidence of someone's current living conditions. We went back to the site today and stumbled upon even more trash dumped along the sidewalk. According to the Connecticut Department of Environmental Protection, state law imposes a fine of $219 for dumping anything larger than 1 cubic foot. And if you're caught dumping with your vehicle, it will be confiscated. You'll pay the fine, and you could also be arrested. The state can sue for cleanup costs and the collection of bigger fines, up to $25,000 a day. Dumping can also be punishable under federal law. And that's where a nonprofit called Domus Kids Incorporated comes in. Organizers say illegal dumping in Stamford is becoming all too common.
In the beginning of the week, Mondays and Tuesdays, a whole lot of trash on the east side of town and South End. Big hot spot for trash and homeless people.
Domus connects at-risk young adults with jobs. While we were investigating what was happening here, these young adults were spending the day cleaning up someone else's garbage here on South State Street. We reached out to the city of Stamford. A spokesperson says, quote, the city of Stamford has an exceptional team in the highways department that works daily to address illegal dumping across the city. The statement goes on to point out legal ways for residents to dispose of bulk trash, including the Katrina Mygat Recycling Center and the Scale House, where residents can bring up to 200 pounds of material a day for free. The DOT still has not cleaned up a majority of this site, but a spokesman tells me on background that officials are now working with local state agencies to relocate whoever's living here and provide them with vital services. They're also planning to outsource this cleanup to a third party in case of any hazardous materials like needles. But for now, this eyesore along the I-95 corridor remains in place. We're in Stamford, Connecticut. Richard Giacobas, Fox 5 News.
Next at noon, there's going to be some major star power behind this year's Met Gala. Details on the new co-chairs for 2026, they were announced this morning. Plus, it's one of the most anticipated films in years. How you can get a sneak peek of The Odyssey before it hits theaters this summer.
.gov.
Big name celebrities will co-chair the next Met Gala. Beyonce, Venus Williams, Nicole Kidman joining Vogue's Anna Wintour and hosting the star-packed event in May. Last year, the event brought in a record $31 million to support the Metropolitan Museum of Art's Costume Institute. Harry Potter and the Cursed Child back on top of the Broadway box office. The show returned to its position after Hamilton was the highest earner during Thanksgiving week, when Leslie Odom Jr.'s limited run, returning as Aaron Burr, spiked ticket sales. Harry Potter and the Cursed Child brought in $2.9 million at the Lyric Theater. Hamilton made $2.8 million. Wicked, The Lion King, and Chess rounding out the top 5. The Who's frontman will now be known as Sir Roger Daltrey. The rock star receiving a knighthood from Prince William today. He is being honored for his contributions to music and charity. At 81 years old, the singer and musician is a longtime supporter of the Teenage Cancer Trust and is the driving force behind the nonprofit's annual fundraising concert in London. Well, you'll soon be able to get a glimpse of a nearly 6-minute prologue of The Odyssey. On Friday, the extended trailer of the film will be shown in theaters ahead of a 70mm IMAX screening of Sinners and one battle after another. Then, next Friday, a shorter version of the Odyssey trailer will screen ahead of IMAX showings of Avatar: Fire and Ash. The film is the first movie shot entirely with IMAX cameras. The Odyssey stars Matt Damon as Odysseus in the star-studded cast, which also includes Tom Holland, Anne Hathaway, Zendaya, Robert Pattinson, among others. A release date has now been set for Apple TV's Margot's Got Money Troubles. This show, which stars Elle Fanning, will premiere 3 episodes on April 15th. It's about a recent college dropout and aspiring writer making her own way with a newborn baby and an increasing pile of bills without income to pay them. Margot's Got Money Troubles also stars Michelle Pfeiffer, Nick Offerman, and Greg Kinnear, among others. By the way, it was a great book as well. Spotify rolling out music videos to premium subscribers in the U.S. and Canada. The move means users can watch music videos while also listening to a song if they're on the premium plan. Users can switch back to music only by pressing switch to audio at any time. The streaming service will also have video-specific playlists made available by the end of the month. All right, next at news, Santa Claus is coming to town. Actually, he's already here. And we're going to take you to festivities at JFK, where Santa touched down straight from the North Pole this morning. Plus, don't forget the pets this holiday season, how a Paterson, New Jersey man helping furry friends in need this year.
Fox.
Santa Claus came to town a little early, at least to Brooklyn. The Jolly Man in the red suit teaming up with the Community Mayor's Organization for their annual Operation Santa event at JFK. Santa and his helpers arriving by plane, of course, and then made his way over to a decked-out hangar filled with nearly 4,000 children. Santa performed and gave out gifts, making this certainly a Christmas to remember. Well, it's not just kids wanting to see Santa this year. The pets are in it, too. The chief animal control officer in Paterson, New Jersey, is on a mission to make sure no pet is left behind. And I got a chance to take a closer look at how they are spreading holiday cheer to cats and dogs.
For the last 53 years, Chief John DeCando has dedicated his life to saving the dogs and cats of Paterson, New Jersey.
If you spell dog backwards, you know what you got. You got God. So we have to take care of them.
Whenever our four-legged friends are in need, DeCando answers the call. And while he might be helping a pet, what he's really doing is helping the people of this city, easing their burdens one box of kibble at a time.
It's nice to put a smile on people's face when they leave here. We have people that come up here that want to drop off their pets because they have no food.
This holiday season, as he has for the last 8 years, he's constructed approximately 500 donation boxes for dogs and cats.
Almost done.
It's as much a Christmas gift as it is a lifeline.
Right now we have, for the dog list, we got 150 for the dogs, and for the cats, we have 92.
The donations come from a number of local businesses who appreciate DeCando's good work because they know when the shelters are clear, it means the city is taking care of its own.
1,000 of smiles. Thousands of smiles, even the pet smiles, yeah. And they come up here with the pets in a little cart. They bring them outside, and everyone's happy.
Chief DeCando is doing such great work. If you'd like to pick up one of the cat or dog boxes, you can do so Monday at 10 a.m. But remember, you must be a Paterson resident, and you do have to call beforehand to register. Well, the trumpets have gone silent at Citi Field. Next at noon, we're going to go kicking and screaming for what it means to the Mets after their star closer has headed west. Plus, there's a new head coach of the New York Liberty we're going to introduce you coming up. Yeah, better kill that audio because the trumpets have gone silent at Citi Field as Mets star closer Edwin Diaz is bolting the Big Apple, heading west to La La Land, signing with the two-time champion Dodgers. Joining us now to make sense of this all, this very surprising move, is a guy you know well, Fox 5 sports producer Lou Albanese.
And very rarely do I make sense of anything, so I'm going to try. Making sense and me are two different things.
Let's start with the basics. Who is Edwin Diaz?
Edwin Diaz, he throws right-handed. No, Edwin Diaz leaving has kept the Mets going crazy. Well, Met fans going nuts.
Why?
Well, it's because he's the best closer in the game. He's the best reliever in the game. Steve Cohen is the richest owner in the game, and they can't figure out how that doesn't mix. The richest owner should sign the most important player. And they're going nuts.
So
they can't believe it.
The Mets offered him what?
So this is the reports. 3 years, $66 million. But say to him, supposedly, come back if you get something better. He went to the Dodgers, 3 for $69. Now, his brother, he plays for the Dodgers.
His brother's in MLB, too.
Yes, his brother, Alexei. I think it's Alexei. Don't hold me to that.
Okay, don't worry about it.
He
plays.
Told him point blank, it's great here, it's great here. So basically, instead of coming back to the Mets, he signed with the Dodgers. And the Mets were surprised, supposedly.
So you don't lose this guy over $3 million.
You would probably say no. Now, there's a lot of people out there who are wondering, hey, you know, they're saying the Mets were shocked. The Mets were shocked. Well, I'm not 100% sure David Stearns was shocked. First of all, David Stearns signs Devin Williams, relief pitcher who pitched for the Yankees. He was horrible with the Yankees. He had a horrible time with New York. And the first thing he asked him, why do you have trouble with New York? Well, the traffic's bad. Well, if you can't handle traffic, you can't play in New York.
Yeah, right.
But he was also in Milwaukee with David Stearns, was running Milwaukee, and he was the premier reliever. So they think that David Stearns thinks, I can get Devin Williams back, he'll be my closer for less money, and I can use that money somewhere else. So I'm not so sure. I think the problem is David Stearns looks at this team, all these fan favorites.
Yeah.
Met fans have a problem. Guess what, guys? Met fans got to realize you got to win. None of you guys love all these players who don't win. If they were on the Yankees, they'd be booed out of town because they don't win. I mean, I don't care how many home runs Alonso hits. I don't care how many saves Diaz lifts.
You just got a soft spot for the favorites?
They have soft spots for these guys. They like these guys. They like these losers. Losers. Guys, they've been losing. You got to move on. They need to blow this franchise up. David Stearns is here to do it. He's public enemy number one, but if it works, they'll all love it.
All right, they want us to move on, but then that just brings a question to my mind that maybe it wasn't Diaz's decision after all.
No, I think Diaz wanted to leave because he could smell the writing on the wall, but I think the Mets were happy to let him go. Now, we're going to ask you a question
you need to live right, because we need to win. We need to win. New York needs to start winning, so apparently one team is winning.
We have a winner, which is amazing right now, the Knicks.
All right, so what are they doing?
The Knicks go last night. This is called the NBA play-in. It's kind of a rip-off of soccer. So what they do is they have this little tournament, kind of round robin, and what they do is they play this little tournament, then they got to go to the quarters. It's a made-for-TV thing to try to give interest to a league that basically struggles until playoff time. Okay. Knicks won yesterday. They went to Toronto, where they haven't been very good on the road, and now they're headed to Vegas. You know what? If the Knicks go to Vegas and win the NBA play-in, it could be a precursor of what's going to happen because a lot of people think this team could win a championship this year. And there's no reason to, but yeah, why not? They are probably the best team in the East.
When was the last time they won a championship?
1973.
Well, in a long time.
I'll say how long ago it was. I might have been alive.
He had more hair.
I had a lot more hair, and I wasn't even following sports back then. I didn't even know sports. So these guys won a championship in New York, and I don't even remember it.
If you didn't know sports then and you know sports now, then maybe there's hope for me.
Well, there's always hope for everybody.
All right.
So that tells you that's a long time.
By the way, Kicking Scream tomorrow. Who are you talking about?
Kicking Screaming, we have Anthony Donahoe from MSG. Everybody knows him as Anti-MSG. We're going to talk more Knicks. Bianca, as you know, same as you know, she's on vacation. She's enjoying herself on some island somewhere. We hope she comes back. She's fantastic. She is the best there is. But I'm going to try, me and Anthony.
Yeah. You know I won't be taking over that job, that's for sure.
Yeah. I would rather be on the island, but that's just me.
Lou, thank you. I appreciate it. We got more coming up straight ahead. Stay with us. The New York Liberty officially introducing new head coach Chris DeMarco, the team holding a press conference at Barclays today. The four-time NBA champ joins the Liberty after spending 14 seasons with the Golden State Warriors. He replaces Sandy Brondello, who was let go after the Liberty lost in the first round of the playoffs this year. She led the team, though, to its first championship in 2024. DeMarco says he is focused on securing another championship.
Mainly because of the championship pedigree. I think for those who have won at the highest level, it's so hard to get there. And we have an organization that's been there. We have a team full of players who have been there. And I do think that matters when you're trying to win every single season.
DeMarco also said he's thrilled to be coaching in New York City after spending the early years of his childhood on Long Island. All right, one final check of the forecast before we go. Nice little warm-up that we're dealing with, Liv.
Yeah, Teresa, it's going to be warmer and still clear skies until later this afternoon. Around 3 or 4, we'll start to see some rain throughout most of the tri-state area, and it's snow for really just Sullivan, Ulster County, and up to areas in the northwest of New York City. The rain lasts till about 8 or 9 o'clock, a little longer if you're out east on Long Island or in Connecticut. Then it clears up. Tomorrow's another bitter cold day. Temperatures will be in the 20s when you wake up. Feel like temperature will probably be in the teens, and then we only get to a high of 33 for our Thursday. Strong winds this afternoon and tomorrow, gusts up to 35 miles per hour, could peak at 40 miles per hour. Friday, another cool day, 36 degrees. We have a snow chance at night. Saturday, you're in the clear, pretty mild compared to what we've been dealing with, 38 degrees. And then another snow chance Sunday morning. Teresa?
Mild in quotes there.
38, nice and mild.
Thanks, Liv. Appreciate it. All right, that's our show. But before we go, here's one last thing to leave you with. Recent college grads, if you're looking for work, you're outgoing, and you like to travel, then we have the perfect job for you. You can apply to become an Oscar Mayer Wienermobile driver. The Hot Dogger program has you traveling around the country in a 27-foot-long hot dog on wheels. If picked, you will be required to attend more than 200 events. You'll be the face of the program, and you need to create social media content about this. A bachelor's is required. Applications close on January the 31st. The program runs from June 20th to 26th and June of 2027. It also pays $35,600. We'll see you back here tomorrow. 25 words or less is next. And if you want more news, check out the Fox Local app. It's streaming right now.
Wednesday, December 10th.
some interesting music. I just heard that Miss Alex Meyer, our producer here, who's making sure we're on top of everything that's going on today. You are taking live looks outside. This is the back of us in the newsroom here, but Eric McPhailin is with me. Alex is on the other side of him. We're very happy to be with you for Newsroom Live on Wednesday, December the 10th. A lot to get to, particularly here as far as New York politics go. Brad Lander is making news because he's announcing a bid for Congress. And as always, when it comes to our coverage of politics and anything political, we bring in Morgan McKay, who's going to join in with me right now. Okay, so this is interesting. Brad Lander, City Comptroller.
Yeah, you know, it was a little expected just because he had been teasing that he was likely going to be running for this seat, but it was a little complicated because there were other people who were also interested in this seat, including Councilwoman Alexa Avelis and a former New York State Assemblywoman, Yuleen New. They were also looking at the seat. Yuleen New is a progressive, and Councilwoman Alexa Avelis is a Democratic Socialist, and you know that Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani is a Democratic Socialist, so some people were expecting him to maybe come out and endorse her. However, Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani announcing today that he is endorsing Brad Lander in this race for Congress, and Avelis announced this morning in a statement that she's no longer going to be running for that seat.
Oh, interesting.
And they're actually encouraging everybody to sort of clear the seat when it comes to progressives for Brad Lander so that he can fully challenge Congressman Dan Goldman in this 10th district.
I was about to ask, it's the 10th district congressional seat. Now,
and it's parts of Manhattan and Brooklyn. And Congressman Dan Goldman won his seat two years ago, I believe, and it was a pretty crowded race at that time. There were a lot of progressives, and it really split the progressive vote, they believe, and so they think they have a better chance this time. And already we're seeing, for example, Senator Bernie Sanders, Senator Elizabeth Warren, Public Advocate Jumaane Williams, and the Working Families Party all out endorsing Brad Lander for this run for Congress. And he making it clear in this video that you see right here, it's sort of giving a Mr. Rogers sort of vibe.
Yeah.
He really giving that neighborhood in the neighborhood feel. Exactly.
Right, we see that.
And so he spoke about his efforts over the past decade to really work to oppose President Trump. He spoke about how he would be a strong voice in Congress. And he really also later this morning spoke about how he believes that Congressman Goldman was really disappointing because he didn't come out and endorse Mamdani in the mayoral election. Even after Mamdani won the primary, Goldman sat silent during the general election and didn't endorse Mamdani. So he said that he felt that was really disappointing. Do we have a soundbite from him from this morning? Oh, perfect. So he was asked about why he's running and challenging Goldman, and here he is with more.
The primary was the time for Democrats to debate who was going to be the nominee. I ran and then cross-endorsed Zohran. But in the general election, I thought all Democratic leaders should support our nominee for mayor over somebody who's a sexual harasser. And yeah, that's the kind of energy we need right now. We can't solve all our problems in New York City alone. We need fighters in Washington who will work together with the mayor to deliver that city that everyone can afford and to stand up to what the president is doing.
Okay.
Now, you'll also remember that Lander ran for mayor as well, as he mentioned there.
Very interesting, eye-catching campaign ads. They were very, very, very interesting.
He did, and reportedly, actually, somebody who is helping on Mamdani's campaign is actually now helping on Lander's campaign, and you notice the difference. You don't see him in a car junkyard smashing cars.
Those were the ads, absolutely.
He is doing a little bit more friendlier neighborhood feel approach.
Not as New York abrasive, some would say, with the ads there. He's smashing up the junkyard cars and stuff.
And he did reference, though, when he was arrested earlier this year, when he was at 26 Federal Plaza, he was there to observe immigration court proceedings, and he wanted to see the floor where immigrants were being detained. And he was arrested for trespassing, and he has opted to go to trial for that case. And he just pled not guilty last week to trespassing misdemeanor charges.
Okay.
But Congressman Goldman's campaign out with a statement saying, quote, Dan is focused on stopping the Trump administration from what they're doing to immigrant families in his district right now. He's proud of his progressive record in Congress and will deal with Brad and other challengers in the new year. But progressives really hoping that they have a chance here with Brad Lander. He has a big event tonight at 6:30 p.m. At the same time, Congressman Goldman, you'll remember he has a long history as well, not only in that district, but he also has a long record in Congress where he helped lead one of the first impeachment trials against President Trump a few years ago.
So you're talking to Lander this afternoon. You're going to be talking to him, not trying to blow up everything she's doing, but just to give her a plug. She's on top of her duties here.
Yes, so we're talking to him about 2 o'clock today, 1:45, and we'll be discussing with him his run for Congress, why he wants to challenge Goldman, and if this is a good choice for him right now after just losing the mayor's race, if this is the right path, the next path for him, which he feels strongly. So
all right,
yeah.
And as always, Politics Unusual, Miss Mackay's show airs every Friday at 6:30. She covers all of the local news. She goes across the water, Jersey, Connecticut. She's got you covered even on the national level. Morgan Mackay, you've got 30 minutes or so to get ready for your interview with Brad Lander. Congratulations on that, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you so much.
All right, everybody, we're going to go to Capitol Hill now to give you an update. Senator Schumer making news about health care coverage. So, Eric, if you would, the Senate is expected to vote tomorrow on two competing health care proposals. Now, Senate Democrats just held a news conference earlier today discussing their plans. They want to extend the Enhanced Affordable Care Act tax credits by 3 years. Take a listen to this.
This is life and death for people. This is having a decent life or a life where you can hardly cope if you don't get the health care that you need.
Republicans say that the Democratic legislation doesn't include enough reforms to prevent fraud or limit high-income recipients. Their plan would approve new funds to boost health savings accounts, but wouldn't extend the tax credits. All right, a big meeting was held today to discuss preps for the 2026 FIFA World Cup, which will be held right here in our city. We will be your official station covering all of that. And for the latest on what happened this morning, we're going to go now to Haley Fixler, who's standing by to bring us up to speed with that discussion, with the things that were happening. And we're always glad to see you, Haley. Bring us up to speed with what's going on.
Yeah, well, officials are calling the summer the most complex operational season ever. So they're expecting millions and millions of more people than usual to come to town and visit. They're saying this is very complex. And so this was actually the largest interagency meeting in this building ever. It was filled with federal, local, and state representatives, all kind of trying to figure out how they can make this happen and make this happen safely, because the World Cup is not the only event. It's going to be the 250th America's birthday. You've got Fleet Week. You got Sail 250. There's so much going on. So they want to make sure that everything is done well and done safely and goes smoothly.
So, Haley, one of the things that we also wanted to talk to about, did they get into security per se as far as what they are expecting or how they would envision that to look like? Certainly, we've had high-profile events before, including Super Bowls.
Yeah, well, they're actually calling the World Cup here the equivalent of 9 Super Bowls in just 40 days. So this is something that's unprecedented. And again, you have to pair that with all of the other events happening kind of around the same time. We weren't privy to any of the security details, of course, but we do know that this is going to be a series of meetings. So as it gets closer to these events, they're going to get more detailed and into the nitty-gritty. But we do know, again, federal, local, state partners, boots on the ground. We will see some security. We won't see some of the security. All very detailed.
All right, Haley, thank you so much. We know that you have other things to get to, so we are now informed on that. You, Michael Garay, and Thunder Dan Foley, please give them our best, and all of you stay warm out there today, okay?
All right, thanks, Antoine.
All right, everybody, we're going to take a quick break, and then a different perspective as far as weather goes on our end. We tried something different today to bring you the forecast. Eric is going to bump us out with a look outside, where right now the temperatures are averaging in the low 40s. You see it's about 42, but we're going to be showing you a different look at weather today when we come back. Hey, Liv. Always good to see you, friend. I know you just came off. I was watching you from the News Weather Center here. I guess as I'm watching you and I'm trying to figure out what to take away, we hear snow. People get a little bit concerned. Right. So explain to us what we are really looking at for today.
Okay, so here we don't have to worry about snow. Not in New York City, Long Island, most of the tri-state. Sullivan, Ulster County, they have chance of snow. They've already seen a little bit of action this morning. So they have a winter weather advisory. But for the most part, we're just going to see rain. Anywhere from 3 to 4 p.m. is when it starts, lasts till probably 8, 9, but it's not a lot. So it's not a washout.
Not a washout. You also talking about winds. We know that the winds have been a very strong factor this week.
Yeah, so we do have strong wind gusts today. Thankfully, it's warmer, so it's not like below freezing, plus we have wind gusts.
Because Monday was cold. Monday was cold.
Terrible. Yeah, so it's not going to be as bad as that. Today's actually our warmest day of the week.
All right, warmest day of the week. Most people aren't really, haven't seen our weather center for a while, but this is where all of the magic happens.
This is where we sit. Nick likes to sit there.
All right.
We also have, this is one
maybe in Paul's shot, get out of Paul's way there as we're doing that. So, all right.
This is how we set up our graphics and everything.
Okay, we are informed 45 is the high temp for today, warmest day so far that we can be expecting this week.
Yeah, and just rain for the second half, but not too heavy or too widespread. And then we cool back again tomorrow. I have 33.
All right, Liv, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more Newsroom Live. All right, everybody, back now, 1:17 on your Wednesday, December the 10th. Antoine Lewis, very happy to be with you for Newsroom Live from the newsroom of Fox 5 here on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. All right, so look, we want to talk about interest rates because we have some news to pass along to you. Certainly coming at this time of year is a good thing. Anyway, developing right now in the finance world, looks like there will be an interest rate cut today. The Federal Reserve is expected to cut the key rate to 3.6%. This would be the third cut in a row and would bring the rate to the lowest level in 3 years. Now, that's positive news for home buyers who've been sitting on the sidelines waiting for this to drop. So this may be the opportunity to consider a little harder, making that move, making that purchase is absolutely a good time of that. So 3.6 is not too bad. So you may want to look into that if you're working with a finance expert, if you have a real estate person that you're talking to as you're considering purchasing a home. Now might be a good time to try to do that. Again, 3.6 is what we're expecting to hear today. Also, let's talk about sleeping. If you're having trouble sleeping, a new study says climate change may actually be to blame. So here's what's going on. Researchers have found that higher temperatures can reduce the amount of shut-eye that a person gets. So the study was published in the journal Environmental International, and it showed there was an 18-degree difference in temperature was associated with 2 more minutes of lost sleep. Researchers estimate that by 2099, people could be losing up to 24 hours of sleep a year as the world gets hotter. So that's quite interesting. And again, even more of a reason to make sure that you're trying to average between 7 to 8. We know that's the goal. Most of us get like what, around 5 at the most. Eric's nodding his head. If I can even get 5, Eric, I consider that a good day, a good night rather. But anyway, so there is more of a reason to make sure that we are staying on top of sleep. Also, this is just developing. Fire officials are giving us a little bit more information about a fire in Staten Island. Here's what we can tell you. It started around 5:36 in the basement of a home on Grandview Avenue and Arlington Place, right at that intersection. We understand one firefighter was taken to a local hospital. Another person sustained minor injuries but refused medical transport. You can see some of the video again coming into the newsroom. This was earlier this morning. The fire was put out around 7:21, so just under 2 hours or so it took for the fire to be extinguished. But again, this is developing right now from Staten Island, so we certainly will be keeping our eye on that. All right, so we're in the holiday season, and it can be a tough season for many. Coming up, we have a Zoom interview with Dr. James Greenblatt, an author and a psychiatrist, to talk about holiday moods, the effect of holidays on our mental wellness, and why it can be a struggle for so many of our fellow people. We'll be right back. All right, everybody, back now at 1:22 on your Wednesday. As we look outside, let me just go over a couple of things in regards to weather that you need to know. We are expecting some precipitation to move through, and some parts of our area will actually be getting some snow, but it's not going to be a major snow event. Highs today are going to be somewhere in the mid to low 40s, so know that as you're going out. Wind won't really be a factor until this evening, as you see Old Glory right there to the right of the screen blowing, so it's kind of calm, even though that little hit was a lot, but we will expect the winds to pick up a little bit, and if you're going to be going out, you will need your umbrellas handy, but again, nothing major as far as what we are looking at in the city area in terms of that. Whatever precipitation will stick and turn into snow will be mostly impacting our outer areas. We also can let you know that winds will be a factor going into tomorrow, and we're expecting the next snow event to happen sometime on Friday, possibly into Saturday and the weekend. But, you know, Mother Nature is the boss. She will have the final say on all of this. And I don't know if we can pull up the 7-day. I can give you a look at what that might look like. There we go. Thank you, Eric. So you can see right now, 45, as we mentioned, snow rain mix is going to be hitting north and west of us. Windy on Thursday, tomorrow, 33 is your high, 31 your low. Again, that snow chance is coming in on Friday. Could linger a little bit into Saturday, but for right now, Saturday looks mostly clear. And then Sunday morning, as you can see, windy at start. Snow possibly in the morning. Look at the low there, 29 degrees. Again, starting off the week with some sun, a mix of sun and clouds, but the winds are going to be a factor. 32 is your high, 21, and then basically the same look for the Tuesday, the next day, to round out the 7-day. All right, so let's talk about Uber. Uber is actually launching a very interesting feature. Let's tell you what's going on. So they're doing this for travelers. It's called Uber Kiosks. And what you can do, it lets you book a ride without using your phone. So Uber says these kiosks are targeted towards international travelers who may not have a local data plan, and for those who are running out of battery life on their phone. I've actually run into that. It can be a lot, especially trying to get the license plate of the Uber and all of that. But anyway, riders can book trips directly through the kiosk, and you receive a paper receipt of the travel plans, meaning your itinerary, if you will, your car information. The first Uber kiosks are actually rolling out at LaGuardia, Terminal C, and more will be expected to be rolled out at airports, hotels, and other ports in the next few months. So there you go, another way to make sure you get where you need to go once you go to the airport and may not have a ride to come pick you up. You can look for that in the next coming months. All right, grocery delivery service Instacart may be coming with a hidden cost. Here's what's going on here. An investigation by the progressive think tank Groundwork Collaborative and Consumer Reports reveal that Instacart is using AI to raise the price of food as much as 23%. So the study showed that depending upon where you are and potentially who you are, it may determine just how much you pay. A statement from Instacart said in part, retail partners control their prices on Instacart, and we work closely with them to align online and in-store pricing wherever possible. So I guess my message to you is, if you're using Instacart, you know, to make sure that you're on top and aware of the prices, that they are working with the budget that you have set aside for your grocery shopping and things like that, especially moving into this time of year when we know holidays, Hanukkah's coming up, Kwanzaa, in addition to Christmas, you know, the food, the potential for more people, more loved ones, more friends to be coming in. You have to feed people. So, you know, and as weather is a consideration, getting it delivered as opposed to being able to physically go out and grocery shop can be a challenge, which is why services like Instacart and DoorDash and those others, you know, Uber Eats, that do delivery things like that. But again, with Instacart, in regards to this report that came out, make sure that you're staying on top of the prices. All right, as we told you, we're going to be talking about the impact the holidays actually have, whether it's the stress, whether it's just emotionally, you're feeling a certain way. We're going to be breaking all of that down with psychiatrist and author Dr. James Greenblatt right after this break. All right, everybody, 1:29 on your Wednesday. Now, we're going to show you the airport because we know that at this time of year, or actually this is the train station, traveling across the holidays is something that's underway right now, depending upon where you're going and your family's decisions about celebrating. But we know that this time of year can produce a mix of emotions, whether it's stress from the travel or just the stress of the season. It can seriously impact our mental wellness. And for this part of our discussion, we're going to bring in Dr. James Greenblatt. He's a board-certified psychiatrist and author of the book, Finally Hopeful, the personalized whole body plan to find and fix the root causes of your depression. Dr. Greenblatt, thank you so much for being with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So when we talk about the factors that can contribute to the holidays and how they impact our mood, can you break down some of those influences?
Sure. I think we're pretty familiar with the stresses of family and travel, as you mentioned, and the finance and all the associations with the holidays. I think what I've tried to do as a psychiatrist to help people aware of some of the underlying factors that can trigger kind of holiday blues into something more significant, a depression that might need treatment.
Now, you also address in your book, and I know we have a copy of it, we want to put that up, thanks Eric, you also address seasonal affective disorder. And will you explain to us what that is? This was the first time I heard of that.
Sure. I mean, it's called SAD, S-A-D, seasonal affective disorder. Affective is depression. And it's a form of depression, but it only occurs in the late fall, winter, as there's less sunlight. And individuals just have this pattern of getting depressed in the fall and winter and then feeling better in the spring. And it can be debilitating and it can have significant implications. So there are kind of effect and treatment models for this form of depression.
Now, is there a difference between SAD, seasonal affective disorder, and what the industry, your industry identifies as depression? Is there a difference, hard difference?
For the individual struggling at that moment in time, no. The same symptoms of feeling down and hopeless and lack of energy and depressed. But the seasonal affective disorder, the SAD, typically resolves for most individuals, as there's more light and as spring approaches, versus a major depressive disorder would continue without any changes in the season.
For someone who hasn't studied this, and I've done stories on it, but again, this information we're sharing and could be new to someone else, most people tend to think of, the lights, the sounds of the season, that Mariah Carey song that just won't go away. People tend to think that it's such a joyous time. How can people be down or depressed? But, this actually is a tough time.
Absolutely. And I think for some individuals, and my work is focused on those kind of vulnerable, either those with family histories of depression, or what we found are those with certain nutritional deficiencies, like vitamin D, which dips in the winter months, can exacerbate those kind of holiday blues into a significant seasonal affective disorder.
We've heard, and I guess now it's become like a comical tagline in some degrees, but I want to just mention that because it certainly came from someplace, the impact of retail therapy. Is that a consideration for people who may find themselves struggling? And I know we're going to get into what can you do, but is retail therapy, given this time of year, a possible way to address SAD or any other form of depression?
Well, probably not SAD or forms of depression, but I think, there was one study done a few years ago where 3 out of 5, Americans kind of felt down over the holidays. So that difference between feeling down or the holiday blues, being lonely or sad or family stress, then maybe we all find our own coping skills and retail therapy might help some. But someone with a depression or a seasonal affective disorder unlikely would be helped.
Okay, so in regards to someone who may be whether diagnosed through a professional like you or just self-aware that they are struggling, just tell me about some of the things you cover in the book to tell people to address or confront, these moods at this time of year.
Sure. I think the most important thing I can share with you and listeners is checking a vitamin D level. Vitamin D deficiency is common in depression, vitamin D deficiency is ignored. And in the U.S., it's almost 70% of us, have it, and that contributes to that seasonal change because we don't make vitamin D in the winter.
One of the other things that you talked about in your book is holiday foods are actually linked to depression, and you address what to eat instead. Break that down for us, if you would, Dr. Greenblatt.
Well, I don't know if we can say holiday foods, but certainly the term now is ultra processed. In my day, we call them junk foods. So the highly refined sugar foods, we know over time contributes to depression, anxiety, even long-term cognitive decline. But short-term, celebrating with family and friends, it's unlikely, to play a major role. So I think balance and moderation would be the recommendation for the holiday season.
Was there anything in your research when you were writing that surprised you, given your background and your expertise and years of studying psychiatry and the impact that it has on our mental wellness? Anything surprised you when you were doing your researching or your interviews?
Well, really important question. I think the most surprising thing to me is the lack of acknowledgement by the medical profession of some of these treatable causes of depression. Everything from, I mentioned vitamin D deficiency to light deficiency to any other micronutrient like iron and hormones. So that was the most surprising, that some of this information is simple, it's available, and too many of those in the psychiatric community just don't do any testing to look at underlying causes.
So what does the book address as far as people who may say, Dr. Greenblatt, okay, I've been diagnosed, or we accept the fact that this is something I'm dealing with. What should they do? How should people address being affected by holiday mood and it being depression?
Sure. Our current model of treating depression are medications and therapy. And what I'm kind of sharing in both many years of research is that there are some simple laboratory tests that should be done by your primary care doctors to see if there's some treatable factors that might be contributing to those holiday blues or, more significantly, resulting in depression.
All right, Dr. James Greenblatt, where can people find the book?
It's available on Amazon and my website, jamesgreenblattmd.com.
All right, we'll show it one more time, and I'll let everyone know, as you just heard, this is where you can find those platforms that you traditionally buy your books right there. But the name of the book is Finally Hopeful, the personalized whole body plan to find and fix the root causes of your depression. And we certainly thank you so much, Dr. Greenblatt. We know that you are, just to let everybody know, is actually Zooming with us from Mexico. And before we say goodbye to you, what's the temperature there? Because we are in the Arctic breeze here.
I'm getting my light therapy today. It's 80 degrees and sunny, so my mood is great.
I bet it is. So, all right, Dr. Greenblatt, thank you so much for being with us on Newsroom Live. You have a safe and prosperous holiday season and New Year, and travel back to the States safely if that's in your plan.
Thank you. You too. Appreciate it.
All right, everybody. It is 1:37. Eric and I are joined by Miss Deborah Cheatham, our managing operator. We're going to give you a quick back shot so she can wave as we take you to break. More news, more. Oh, we can't see Deb. She's on the other side of Eric over there. Well, that was her hand. I promise you that was her hand. She has two. We'll be right back.
Thanks for the shout.
Know that, but we're not anticipating any specific event. So again, if you're just joining us, it's 1:40 on your Newsroom Live. I'm Antoine Lewis. Very happy to be with you from the newsroom of Fox 5. We just want to recap some of our top stories. One developing on Staten Island right now. The FDNY responding to a fire around 5:36 this morning. As you're taking a look from Sky Fox FD, here's what we can tell you. The fire started again around 5:36 in the basement of a home on the corner of Grandview Avenue and Arlington Place. Look at it right there. You can see smoke and flames coming from the top of that structure there. Very big presence by the FDNY as they respond to that area. One firefighter, we understand, was taken to a area hospital. Another person sustained minor injuries but refused medical transport. It is our understanding that the firefighter who was injured, those injuries were also minor. The fire was put out about 2 hours later, 7:21 this afternoon. So we're keeping our eye on that, but that's what's happening in our developing news this afternoon for you. Also developing as we take a look at ELC 5, Eric, because this afternoon we're expecting news of an announcement about an interest rate cut today. So here's what's going on. The Federal Reserve is expected to cut the interest rate. There you go. Cut interest rates to 3.6%. Now this would be the third cut in a row. It would bring the interest rate to the lowest it's been in 3 years. Now, this is positive news for home buyers who have been sitting on the sidelines waiting to do so. You certainly have the opportunity to do that if that's something you're considering, if that's something you and your family, your household have been discussing as part of a possible holiday gift. If you're looking at a house or condo or something along those lines, this might not be a bad time to check in with your finance person, whoever you're working with on those numbers, as well as your real estate agent, just to make sure that they are aware of that. If they had not been aware that that's going to be happening today, that you can be on top of that, because 3.6% is a very nice rate if that's what you're looking to do. So we're going to be keeping our eye on that, and of course bring you that information as well. All right, on to the Senate now, because they are expected to vote tomorrow on competing health care proposals. Here's what's going on Capitol Hill. Senate Democrats held a news conference this morning, to discuss their plan. They want to extend the Enhanced Affordable Care Act tax credits by 3 years. Here's New York Senator Charles Schumer.
Life and death for people. This is having a decent life or a life where you can hardly cope if you don't get the health care that you need.
That was Senator Schumer, and as far as the Republicans go, they're saying that the Democratic legislation doesn't include enough reforms to prevent fraud or limit high-income recipients. So their plan would approve new funds to boost health care savings, but wouldn't extend the tax credit. All right, now, if you are going to be traveling at any capacity leading up into Hanukkah, leading up into Kwanzaa, leading up into Christmas, here's what you need to know. AAA is saying expect record numbers this holiday travel over the Christmas and the late December time period. AAA projecting more than 122 million Americans will be traveling at least 50 miles from home over the 13-day period that ends the holiday. So that's about 3 million more people from last year. AAA projects 89% will be traveling by car. A record of more than 8 million will be taking a domestic flight, and about 5 million will be traveling by bus, train, or go on a cruise. So just know that as you are going to be celebrating the end of the year, holiday season, however you are trying to get out, then that's what's going to be, you're going to be joined by neighbors. And again, if you just tuned into our Zoom as you look at video of the season there, you would know that this time of year can affect your mood. We were talking about that with a psychiatrist and author of a book about that. But anyway, this time of year, just know you can expect more people to be traveling in and around. You can expect your moods perhaps to change or vary depending upon the light in some cases, we learned a little bit just a minute ago, or actually your food and what you're eating. Processed foods can also impact your mood and can contribute to the holiday blues, if you will, around this time of year. So know that information so that you are prepared and can have the best holiday season that you could possibly have, or at least make a strong effort for it, because that's what we want for you. It's 1:45 on your Wednesday, December 10th. I'm Antoine Lewis. We're going to take a quick break. More Newsroom Live when we return. All right, everybody, back now at 1:47 on your Wednesday. Antoine Lewis, very happy to be with you on Newsroom Live on this December 10th. We're in the newsroom of Fox 5 Studios on the Upper East Side. We've been talking a lot over the last couple of weeks about sleeping and trying to get enough sleep. Well, there's new information that I want to pass along to you in regards to sleeping. If you're having trouble sleeping, climate change may actually be playing a role, though that the guy looks really comfortable right there. He is knocked out. Researchers found that higher temperatures can reduce the amount of shut-eye a person gets. All right, let's pause. Now, we're in the time of season where keeping the room at a certain temperature is important. Of course, if it gets too high, you can sweat, and then you may get up, and, you know, that can seriously impact a good solid night's sleep. So anyway, researchers found again that higher temps does actually impact that. The study was published in the journal Environment International and showed that an 18-degree difference in temperature was associated with about 2 minutes of lost sleep. Researchers estimate that by 2099, people could be losing up to 24 hours of sleep by each year as the world gets hotter. So 2099, Eric, is like in what, 74 years or so?
Yeah,
so
about 50 years.
I was about to say, I'll be here, so I'll just let everybody know, you know, what it's like at that time. I will be a nice, spry 50 years old, and we'll just let everybody know what the temperature is like. So there again is more of an incentive to get enough sleep whenever that's possible. But all right, Uber is doing something interesting to try to help you who are going to be arriving at an airport and may wonder how you can get a car in a different capacity. Uber Kiosk will let you do so. You can book a ride without using your phone. So Uber says that the kiosks are targeted towards international travelers who don't have a battery life on their phone perhaps enough, or may not have enough of a local data plan going on. So this is what's supposed to impact that. Riders can book trips directly on the kiosk. You'll get a paper receipt of the travel plan, basically your itinerary. And the first Uber kiosk is going to be rolling out LaGuardia's Airport, Terminal C, and more are expected to be unveiled at other airports, hotels, and ports in the next few months. So know that if you're going to be going out, because that certainly can be interesting. I don't know about you, I've actually run into that, wait, do I have enough juice? Because maybe the plane didn't have a seat charger for your phone like some of them do. So just know that apparently Uber kiosks can be the way to go if that's going to be the case. Now, as we go to break, Eric's going to bring me up because we want to just explain why you may be noticing the temperature, the volume going on. One of the mics apparently isn't cooperating fully, so I'm just going to double mic that right now to make sure that you're hearing me. Eric is giving me the thumbs up, meaning like, yes, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So, all right, we didn't want to go to break to do this. We wanted to do it while we were in the moment, so that's what's going on there. Now we will go to break. So we'll see you right back with more news, more Newsroom Live. Dave Alter, what are you doing back there, sir? Just checking on you. So Dave, let me move this way. That's Dave, our ops manager, just setting up cops, lights and cameras for us back there as we continue to try to bring you news in this capacity. Whatever app you're joining us on, we thank you for being with us. Weigh in, let us know in the comment section where you're watching from, where you're viewing from, how your day is going. And we're going to try to get those comments, read a couple of them for you on the air, should you do so. We'll be right back. All right, everybody, welcome back to Newsroom Live 153 on your Wednesday. You may be hearing some of the sounds of our very active newsroom behind me, so that's what's going on there. Keeping our eye on our feeds, on our feed board. Eric, can you show the back so I can let everybody know what I'm looking at? There we go. So these are the feeds that are coming into the newsroom, into our station that we're monitoring. This is just two of the monitors. There's another one off to my left. So we are going to go to ELC 1. There you go, right there. Those are the two. We're going to pop into ELC 1. Thank you, Alexander. And just see what the Senate is discussing right now. Let's take a listen, Eric.
Not go away. The only thing that is going away is the Biden era COVID subsidies. The Democrats put those in place in 2021. They were to expire in 22, and then they decided, no, let's make them expire December 31st, 2025. So they created this problem. They created the problem with Obamacare. Not one Republican voted for it in either the House or the Senate. And now they've created another problem. And they've done all of this because they didn't want to address the flaws that were in the program. Well, under the Biden COVID era credits, people who were making over $500,000 a year could benefit from the taxpayer-funded subsidies. Now, originally, with the original Obamacare subsidies, you get the credit up to 400% of poverty. But the Democrats said, no, let's make it free for all. Let's just get these out here. Zero premiums. Yes, that sounds great. That's what they wanted to push for some people. And up to $500,000 a year in income. $500,000 a year. You too could get a taxpayer-funded subsidy to help pay for your insurance. Maybe 80% was paid or 90% was paid. This is not what the American people want. But instead of lowering cost, these subsidies are continuing to prop up a very broken system, and that is why the cost continues to go up. Now, since 2013, the Obamacare benchmark plan premium has increased by more than 200%. In Tennessee, you have seen about a 20% increase. Now, this Obamacare plan is going up more than 300 times the rate of employer-sponsored plans. And so the taxpayers are on the hook for this. So why is it they continue to go up? It is because of government interference and mandates that the Democrats passed when they passed Obamacare. It is too expensive to afford. During the
All right, everybody, just to recap, so we were listening to discussions in the Senate about health care proposals. Now, here's what's going on, why this is such a thing, because tomorrow the Senate is expected to vote on two competing proposals. So you were just hearing the senator there just talk about the Republican proposal of that. All right, 1:56, a quick break, more news when we return. We'll be right back. All right, everybody, 1:59 on Newsroom Live. Another sign of the holiday season we want to pass along to you. It is the world's largest menorah. Take a look at this. There it is right there. A giant 36-foot tall menorah put in place along 5th Avenue and 59th Street this morning, right across from the Plaza Hotel. Again, it's the world's largest menorah, according to the Guinness World Records. It will be lit every night of Hanukkah starting on December 14th. And the event will also include, each night will include music, dancing, and traditional Hanukkah treats. So know that if you're going to be going out. And then we want to leave you with this. The Wolf Conservation Center in South Salem, New York, as you're looking at right now, has partnered with the Museum of Life and Science in Durham, North Carolina, to help save critically endangered red wolves.
Thanks for watching Fox 5 New York. We're now joining live now from Fox.
Wearing that thing out. So you've got 100,000 duplicate numbers enrolled in the program. In one case, a single Social Security number, one number, was used to apply for more than 125 policies. Mr. President, I call that fraud. And I think it is amazing that Obamacare is so poorly run that they are allowing this level of fraud and waste of your tax dollars, which are paying for every bit of this. This is a program that now our colleagues across the aisle are saying, we don't want to fix it. We just want to kick the can. We want to extend these subsidies for 3 more years because the program is really expensive. And why is it expensive? Waste, fraud, abuse, government mandates. And Obamacare is too expensive to afford. Now, Republicans have already started to address the root cause of the issue, and in the big beautiful bill there's provisions that require individuals who misstate their income to repay the excess subsidy amount in full, requiring applicants to verify their income, their family size, their immigration status, and residence before enrolling ensures no one can abuse the system at the expense of American taxpayers. This is what you call good old common sense. If you're going to go apply for a credit card or a loan at the bank, you've got to verify this and you're going to be held legally responsible. Under Obamacare, it's like nobody gave a rip and flip about what you put on the paper. Whatever you said, all right. There was no verification that was done. Republicans are also working on solutions to lower the cost. How about that one? And to promote health care freedom. Let you, the patient, the individual, have more choice, more options, and make decisions that affect your health care. This week, our Finance Committee Chairman, Senator Crapo, and the Health Committee Chairman, Senator Cassidy, introduced legislation that would direct funds directly to patients, not to insurance companies. Well, how about that? Let's make certain that patients are the ones who receive those funds, not the insurance companies, because we've already defined the waste, the fraud, the abuse that is taking place in the program. Now, doing this through health savings accounts and funding for cost-sharing reduction payments, these are things that are positive, that would help to bring some transparency to the system. Unlike the Democrat proposal, which only further adds to our $38 trillion in debt, the Crapo-Cassidy bill would drive down the cost of premiums and provide an off-ramp for the Biden plussed-up bonus COVID credits for individuals that were making six-figure incomes. Now, last week I introduced a package of bills to support and expand Tennessee's Medicaid innovation, including the Medicaid Primary Care Improvement Act, which would allow states to use Medicaid dollars to pay for direct primary care arrangements, expanding health care access for Medicaid beneficiaries and improving outcomes. And we're introducing legislation that I've worked on for years. Empower citizens to purchase health insurance across state line. Have portability on policies. If they get a policy that works, that they like, that they can afford, allow them to take that policy with them regardless of where they live. Again, common sense. We do know this. You've got to promote competition so that we can bring down prices and give consumers, individuals, patients, more power to price shop for affordable plans. Americans do not want the federal government in charge of their health care. They do not want socialized medicine. They do not want government-run health care plans, and they definitely do not want their hard-earned tax dollars underwriting fraud. I yield the floor.
We were listening to Senator Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee talking about health care. I also wanted to share with you this. We do have an update. As I was mentioning before, President Trump will be holding a roundtable in the Roosevelt Room there at the White House. This was scheduled to begin at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And before, we were sharing with you that the media was not allowed inside. However, we do have an update for you, and it does appear that the media will be allowed inside this roundtable. We don't have a live look yet from this roundtable, but once we do, we're going to transition to that, and we're going to bring that to you in its entirety. So we did want to share that update that we are expecting a live look at President Trump's roundtable any moment now. We're also anticipating a number of other live events, and this is a live event with the Homeland Security as they are expecting to announce a New York task force that's set to get underway momentarily as well. And then a little bit later on, the Federal Reserve will be making an announcement about interest rates. So a very busy number of hours coming up ahead here on Live Now from Fox. We're going to bring it all to you, but for now, we're going to step away. Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. I'm Stephanie Quinu. Continuing to monitor all of the live feeds we have here in our studio. We are expecting to get a new feed momentarily as President Trump will be holding a roundtable any moment now. We don't have a live look yet inside the Roosevelt Room, which is where he's expected to host that roundtable. However, as soon as that happens, we will bring that to you. We also have another live event that we are expecting to get underway any moment now, and that is this event happening soon, which is the Homeland Security announcing a New York task force. So we do see that the podium has been set up, but we haven't seen any official walk up to the podium. So a lot to monitor right here. In the meantime, though, we're going to dip back into the Senate floor where Senator Chuck Grassley is talking about health care.
Of the Constitution. As we all know, the speech and debate clause protects members of Congress from any retaliation or civil action for what's said right here on the floor of the House and Senate. Well, no kidding. They were warned. Of course, the Department of Justice knows that core constitutional activity of constitutional officers is protected in the Constitution. Keller's email to Gaston also notes case law saying legislators asserting an invasion of speech or debate may intervene and oppose subpoenas. So, it's a constitutionally based opposition. However, affected members, remember they're all Republicans, weren't afforded the opportunity to challenge the subpoenas as the law would give them the right to do. And it's all about the subpoenas having a non-disclosure order in it. Now, these non-disclosure orders, rubber stamped by a judge named Boasberg and others on the same court, kept Jack Smith's action against the Republican members. So far, almost all of the non-disclosure orders for members' phone records were signed by Judge Boasberg. On November the 20th, 2025, I, along with Chairman Johnson and Mr. Jordan, Chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, wrote to Judge Boasberg. We asked what information Special Counsel Smith's office presented, if any, to the court that led to the approval of the non-disclosure orders of members' phone records in violation of federal law. We also asked Mr. Boasberg if he ever denied any Department of Justice non-disclosure order requests. Now, Judge Boasberg never answered our letter. He had Judge Robert Conrad, the director of the Administrative Office for the U.S. Courts, responding on his behalf. Judge Conrad failed to fully answer our questions. The letter claimed responding to our letter fully would, quote, encroach upon the separation of powers, end quote. Now, the court ought to have raised that concern when Special Counsel Smith requested the non-disclosure orders for the legislative branch phone records, not after it became public.
All right, so we're listening in there to Senator Chuck Grassley. However, we do have an event that we have been monitoring with Homeland Security. We see folks entering into the room, so it does look like this announcement is going to be happening any moment now. But they are expected to announce a New York task force. Let's listen in.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ricky Patel. I'm the Special Agent in charge for Homeland Security Investigations, HSI, here in New York. It is an honor to come together to announce what can only be described as a historic day for law enforcement collaboration in New York City. As announced by the President on October 23, 2025, establishing Homeland Security Task Forces, or HSTFs, around the country, today you will hear from my colleagues and I about the formation of the HSTF here in New York, which is co-led by HSI and the FBI, with significant collaboration and coordination by the U.S. Attorney's offices in the Eastern District and Southern District of New York, as well as nearly all law enforcement agencies here in the Empire State. This task force is the first of its kind, using a whole-of-government approach. Through a unified framework, the HSTFs serve as a model for protecting the homeland from evolving threats presented by transnational organized crime. The mission of the HSTF is to identify and target for prosecution transnational criminal organizations engaged in diverse criminal schemes involving a myriad of federal violations both within the United States and throughout the world. Violations include, but are not limited to, drug trafficking, money laundering, weapons trafficking, human trafficking, homicide, extortion, kidnapping, and other TCO-related violations where there is or may be a federal investigative interest. The HSTF represents the power of partnership, combining federal, state, and local resources to address these threats more effectively than any agency can alone. With me today, we have leaders from some of the partner agencies that comprise the HSTF New York. The Internal Revenue Service Criminal Investigation Division, the Drug Enforcement Administration, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, Diplomatic Security Service, U.S. Customs and Border Protection, the U.S. Postal Inspection Service, and the United States Secret Service. First, you will hear from some of the leaders behind the formation of the HSTF New York. We will then have a brief signing ceremony followed by on-topic questions and the opportunity for pull-aside interviews. And now, I would like to turn it over to Jay Clayton, the United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York.
Thank you, Rick. Good afternoon. Today's announcement of our whole-of-government commitment to Homeland Security is, at its core, about public safety for all New Yorkers. New Yorkers want public safety. They want our parks, schools, subways, and streets to be both safe places and places that feel safe for our families, our children, and our visitors. At the Southern District, across the Justice Department, and across law enforcement, with our federal and state partners, we hear what New Yorkers want, and we are laser focused on delivering it for them. Crime is down, but it is still way above where it should be, particularly for our most vulnerable. And that's really what this is all about. It's about delivering public safety for the most vulnerable people in New York. It's down because of the hard work of the men and women behind me. Let me give you a few highlights over the last year. Our agencies have collectively investigated and charged murders, shootings, stabbings, sex trafficking, and narcotics distribution by Tren de Aragua, TDA, and many other brutally violent gangs. We've charged over a dozen narco-terrorists and members of state-sponsored drug cartels. We've charged multiple people with fentanyl distribution and precursor production. Gun charges, federal gun charges, are being brought at twice the rate of previous years. And most recently, we had a wide sweep of narcotics trafficking in and around Washington Square Park. The Washington Square Park effort exemplifies what we can do with a whole of law enforcement approach to public safety. A few data points. From 2020 to 2023 alone, more than 10,000 people died of fatal drug poisoning in New York City. Washington Square Park was an epicenter of this crisis. During that period, the NYPD and medical personnel responded to over 65 reports of apparent overdoses in the park. With the great men and women of the New York Police Department, the DEA, and our other federal partners, those days are behind us. This is an example that we're going to follow going forward. We look forward to making New York safer each and every day for every person in New York. I'm now going to introduce Mike Considine, the first assistant from the Eastern District of New York. Mike?
Thank you, Jay. Good afternoon. As Jay mentioned, I'm Mike Considine, first assistant U.S. attorney in Brooklyn. The United States Attorney, Mr. Nacella, is on sick leave today and sends his regrets for not being with his esteemed HSTF partners. This historic collaboration occurring with this task force strengthens our mission to defend the citizens of our districts from the transnational criminal organizations, which Jay mentioned, human smugglers, and cyber criminals who inflict tremendous damage to our country. And we've already seen remarkable results. For example, our office is prosecuting the infamous cartel leader, RCQ, Rafael Caro Quintero, who is charged with the murder of DEA agent Kiki Camarano. What's more, our collective efforts have led to the conviction of El Mayo, Ismael Zambada Garcia, co-founder of the Sinaloa cartel. He operated a continuing criminal enterprise that trafficked massive quantities of fentanyl, cocaine, and other drugs into the United States. Lastly, we are working to cut off alternate revenue streams for the Jalisco cartel, designated as a foreign terrorist organization. And to that end, we charge 2 individuals, Julio Cesar Montero Pinzon and Carlos Andre Rivera Varela, with providing material terrorism support through a sprawling timeshare fraud scheme targeting American citizens. A wanted poster depicting these defendants is being released today. We would be remiss if we did not also express our appreciation for all of our agency partners, those here today and those who could not be with us. We are all collectively committed to improving the quality of life for our citizens by dismantling these corrupt organizations from their very top. I may now turn over the podium to Chris Rea, Assistant Director in charge of the FBI New York Field Office.
All right, thank you, Mike. Again, I'm Christopher Rea. I'm the Assistant Director of the FBI's New York Field Office. Today, along with my colleagues, I'm proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with other federal, state, and local partners to announce the first of its kind regional New York Homeland Security Task Force. This new team was created as a deliberate response to the growing threat posed by transnational criminal enterprises and foreign terrorist organizations. And quite frankly, it's initiatives like this and this task force that have contributed to the drastic decrease in violent crime, not only here in New York City, but across the country. FBI New York has a long history disrupting gangs and other sophisticated criminal groups, specifically cartels. The threat we face today is more complex, more violent, and more interconnected than ever. Utilizing our proven Joint Terrorism Task Force model, which as you know, is one of the most accomplished and renowned task force models in history, we are bringing the full force of the federal, state, and local government to bear against the threat by combining operational and intelligence capabilities. Additionally, with the new authorities and investigative tools granted to us after the designation of the most violent drug cartels and transnational gangs as foreign terrorist organizations, or FTOs, we will systematically and methodically dismantle these enterprises who are responsible for the pervasive trafficking of lethal drugs and weapons into our communities. Since standing up the New York HSTF earlier this year, our agents, analysts, and professional staff got right to work, and their hard work is already paying massive dividends. Today, I would like to share with you just two of the multiple high-level cases our New York HSTF have been involved in. The first one, in August 2025, our office coordinated with the Southern District of New York to charge and arrest 7 leaders and members of a violent Mexico-based drug trafficking organization for the alleged trafficking of firearms and smuggling dozens of kilograms of cocaine, meth, and fentanyl into this country. Their alleged criminality plagued our communities, even jeopardizing innocent bystanders with public rivalry shootings. Secondly, as First Assistant U.S. Attorney Considine mentioned, we are seeking information for 2 high-ranking leaders of CJNG, the Jalisco New Generation Cartel. Our FBI DEA Trident Directorate has aggressively utilized those new authorities that I just mentioned, which had been previously only authorized under national security cases and our JTTF, against the new FTO designation of CJNG. As mentioned earlier, Carlos Andres Rivera Varela and Julio Cesar Montero Pinzon are wanted for allegedly providing material support to a foreign terrorist organization and money laundering conspiracy. If you recognize those charges, that foreign terrorist charge, as a charge that until now had only been available to charge through our JTTF. And now, due to the new authorities that have been granted to us, we can now charge that charge under a foreign terrorist organization. These fugitives allegedly funneled profits from a complex fraud scheme to finance CJNG in support of drug trafficking and other crimes. If you have any information related to either of these subjects, please call 1-800-CALL-FBI or submit a tip at fbi.tips.gov. Additionally, the FBI is offering a reward of up to $245,000 for information leading to the arrest and conviction of these fugitives. I would like to personally thank SAC Patel and SAC Chavis, as well as all the participating agencies, for their commitment to combating the persistent cartel threat and the drug distribution network. And thank you to U.S. Attorneys Clayton and U.S. Attorney Nacella for your aggressive prosecution of these critical cases. These judicial successes directly translate into taking bad guys off of our streets. Through unified partnership, we will continue to defend the homeland from evolving threats, safeguard critical infrastructure, and strengthen national resilience. Now, I'd like to introduce the SAC of New York Internal Revenue Services Criminal Investigation, Harry Chavis.
Thank you, Chris. Good afternoon. My name is Harry Chavis, the Special Agent in charge of IRS Criminal Investigations New York Field Office. Special agents with IRS Criminal Investigation have long been known for lending their financial and tax expertise to complex investigations. We are proud to have entered into this agreement with the New York Homeland Security Task Force as a partner and as the third agency on the executive committee. With this agreement, our special agents will continue to proactively leverage our knowledge and unique skills for the betterment of this new team. Whether it's money laundering, Bank Secrecy Act violations, a complex financial fraud, or leveraging our tax authority, we will continue working in tandem with all the agencies under the Homeland Security Task Force umbrella to take criminals off the street and to dismantle transnational criminal organizations. Today, when you hear the word task force, I want you to think camaraderie. I want you to think of a space created specifically for special agents, officers, and analysts from multiple agencies to have the opportunity to become one cohesive unit. As law enforcement agencies, we may often deconflict with each other, share information, and cooperate on investigations. But what we don't normally do is sit side by side, cubicle to cubicle, in the same space. The New York Homeland Security Task Force will provide such an opportunity.